6 breaths left. Johnny laid still in the body-shaped indentation of the hospital bed, which was a welcome change from the paper-thin piece of foam he had become accustomed to over the last 10 years. The beeping from the heart monitor and the swooshing of the oxygen tank feeding air to his good lung played a final symphony, the crescendo of a life merely half-lived. 5 breaths left. Jessie's shoes squeaked against the freshly mopped floor as she walked down the long hallway from the nurse's station to her new patient's room. She found making the trek more difficult in her second trimester, but she loved her job too much to stop before her baby was due. Outside of the room, she adjusted her ponytail and opened the door. The name on the whiteboard in the doorway stopped her in her tracks. 4 breaths left. The first sharp sting of the blade sinking into Johnny's side, finding its way through his ribs like a weaving snake through grass, came quickly in the commotion. His cellmate, Arnold, was the intended target, but intention mattered little when emotions ran hot and blood ran cold. Johnny was never meant for prison. While his father left him home alone as a child to do God knows what with God knows who, Johnny preferred to spend his evenings walking his neighbor's golden-furred puppy in exchange for a chocolate bar. The pieces of goodness, the pieces his father tried to snuff out the most, still lingered, which is why he simply couldn't turn a blind eye when he heard them talking about jumping Arnold over their breakfast. He couldn't stand the thought of the blood of such a young man being shed on the bunk below his over missed payment of hash browns that were promised in exchange for toothpaste. 3 breaths left. It had been 10 years since Jessie last saw Johnny. She took in how haggard and gray he looked for 28, but she understood. She remembered the night they last met under the oak tree in the park. His black eyes and lines of tears that shimmered in the moonlight told a story of surrender and sadness, which only grew as he explained how he would no longer be coming back to their spot. She remembered how hard he worked to fight off the habits his father got from his father before him, and the desperation to leave his family's legacy in whatever grave his father would end up in. There was only so much fight Johnny had in him to keep his feet planted on firm ground, and Jessie learned early she would not be enough to keep him steady. 2 breaths left. It only took 3 weeks for Johnny to become his father. First came the gas station robbery. Soon after, Johnny found himself making his living off of taking from others during the day and ending each night with the taste of Jack Daniels on his lips, which together was a high he found hard to put into words, something his father had described to him 1,000 times over as an addiction. Despite the rush and moments of clarity, he felt his insides turning to tar, thick and heavy. 1 breath left. Johnny's eyes opened briefly when Jessie took his hand. She knew he saw her from the way his eyes widened, if only for a moment. Despite the reluctance of the prison guard, Jessie pleaded for the release of his wrists. Johnny was no more of a threat to society than her. She pulled up a rolling stool as the shackles clanked open and sat with him while he relaxed into the arms of forever. She noticed the curve of his nose, broken in one too many fights to ever sit right again, and wondered what he must have done to find himself in her hospital in such a state. As she watched his chest rise and freeze, as if she was staring at a photo, she held her own breath. The Johnny she knew died long before that moment. He was gone the moment he gave way to the poison that ran through his veins, injected slowly over time by the man who should have shown him how to build a life, not destroy one. When she released Johnny's hand, she leaned in close to his ear, hoping some part of him could still hear her. "Sleep well, Johnny."